Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Now, you may be wondering, why am I posting videos from like version 0.25 when the full version of the game is out, and it's no longer in beta. Now, there is a good reason for that, which is that this series I would like to actually continue and finish, but due to all the changes that have been made in the game, a lot of my mods, the save and everything are kind of broken, and I don't know if I can get it working. I have another copy of this that I'm trying to get working in the newer version of the game. I don't know if it's going to be possible or not, but I am going to attempt to. So most of the changes aren't really even very important that have happened in the game, so I am going to just continue with this series like this. I have a lot of footage that I haven't rendered out yet, that I haven't done any commentary for, and so I want to get it up. So at any rate, in this episode, we're going to be doing a lot of work on space stations. I need to get science modules up to a lot of the space stations. So we'll just cut ahead. You can see this is our little tiny asteroid that we captured a while ago. And I'm just adding some modules to this space station so that we can do some research up here. This will probably end up being kind of like a advanced propulsion systems research thing. I would like to, at some point, capture a bunch of antimatter and stuff once we have the technology to do that, so that we can get some better reactors going and that sort of stuff. So basically there's no reason to not put a science lab on any of my bases, because if there's going to be Kerbals there, I might as well put one of these science labs so that we can get either research or fuel reprocessing or whatever done out of them. So launching, this is just going to be edited down quite a bit because there are just a lot of similar launches in this episode. I don't remember exactly what module this is that we're launching, so I guess we'll see in a second when we get up into space. So it's turns out it's a little communications relay thing, and coming in at crazy. What is going on here? I don't know. I think MechJeb was giving me troubles still, so I kind of like manually docked, but I don't know why I was coming in at an angle like that. It worked out in the end anyway, so who cares? That was kind of funny. I don't think there was enough RCS fuel on that, is what it was. So I was, yeah, that's what it was. I was using the main engines, I think, to dock, because I don't think I've had an RCS tank on that due to an oversight on my part. Is that the case? Let's see if we have RCS fuel here or not. Yeah, I'm just letting it drift apart here because I have no RCS, so that explains that. Anyway, what I wanted to do is back off and reconnect this in a straighter fashion, since we have the angle fixed. When it docked, it fixed the angle, so this way we could rotate it around and be facing in a more pleasing direction, the satellite dish, that is. That way that make a little bit more sense and all that. So we're back out at our solar probe, making some more course adjustments with this thing. So this has been on a really long journey, but we're starting to get some new science from it, so that's good. Definitely always use all the science we can get. And we're getting really close to the sun now, so go ahead and do some more scans. And of course the delay is kind of long out there and everything, but we ended up getting a good amount of science out of that. So this, as you can see, is a docking adapter that I'm sending up to my station here. The reason I'm doing this is just so that it's a little bit easier to dock a second set of ships. That way because this is going to be my main transit point for the whole thing, so I wanted to be able to dock quite a few ships here, and this gets them away from the body of the station a little bit, out of the way. And this is a kind of modified version of that adapter that has the cupola, or whatever the hell module it is, in the middle, just to give me kind of like a cool little observation thing. So we can see, this is, I think I put one of these on the Mun station already. It's the exact same module as that. It's just going on my asteroid base here. These smaller bases don't need as much docking capacity. It really just needs a couple, because there'll be a shuttle coming out to drop crew off and then returning. And now that we have that stuff up, we're going to launch this is my manned vessel, like the surface transport thing. to get people up into low orbit. There's really no reason to launch people in a much more than low orbit as far as I'm concerned, because we can use our MUN shuttles to get them to farther away places. So this one is going out to that asteroid so that we can actually have a crew out there. And I'm pretty much going to be putting standard crews of 3 on everything is the idea. Since these things accommodate 3 Kerbals, it makes sense to put 3 on every one of my bases and stations, just because 3 seems like a good number. It doesn't use too much resources, but at the same time, in theory, they would have company, so they wouldn't go crazy and all that stuff. And, you know, that way 2 of them can go do whatever they need to do, and 1 can stay on the station, so it's always manned. And it makes crew rotations a little bit easier, although I still wish there was an easier way to keep track of how long individual crew members have been up in space. I pretty much just have to remember, and there was a little bit of lag there. For some reason I'm getting lag spikes whenever I dock manned vehicles with stations. I assume it probably has to do with life support, but I don't know. So what are these guys doing now? We have an EVA, I guess. No, we're just checking out the view. It's kind of neat. I like having the view of either side of that. And at this point, I still don't have any textures for a lot of these. Well, there's textures. There's not very good ones. Good interiors for a lot of that stuff. So I know that that's one of the things they did change in the main version of the game, is that there's better interiors for some of the stock game parts. But I think that one was the Interstellar one anyway, so I don't know. So this is an identical research module. Pretty much, it's going. It doesn't have the crew can on the front, but we're sending this out to the MUN station because, like I said, I can get some research out of anything. If we do need to reprocess any nuclear fuel, we can do that as well. That sort of stuff. It really can't hurt to put one of these out, and plus, it gives me an excuse to have more modules on my station. And you can see here we had a big lag spike again there, and you know, whatever. Didn't really matter. I don't know what's up with that, but I have a lot of issues with randomness. No, this is kind of a tiny little... Well, I don't think it's actually that tiny. I think it looks tinier than it is because the fairing is so big on this. We're sending this thing out to the MUN. It's the beginning of a surface base at the MUN because I do want to drive around with rovers and all that stuff. Now, I had attempted in my previous Kerbal series to dock stuff on the surface, but I found that it was just too hard to do reliably. It's possible, but it's too hard. I have the Kerbal attachment system installed in this version of the game. So what that means is that I can dock. I don't have to actually physically dock this stuff. I get it close together and then use pipes and the little pier pylon things and all that stuff and connect it together, which actually kind of looks more like a real base in my opinion anyway, because you probably wouldn't dock stuff together on the surface of a planet because that would be hard in real life too. But for whatever reason, I've been having a lot more trouble finding flat places on the MUN than I'm used to. It seems like in one of the updates they must have redone the terrain things, because it's just, there's not very good plateaus and stuff like that. This is part of the home pack. It has little tiny engines on it. They're not really, well, they're probably overpowered actually, but they're not super powerful. But they're definitely good enough for landing on the MUN. You, of course, can use parachutes and stuff on other places. But as you can see here, even though it looked kind of flat from orbit, there's still a pretty decent hillside here, which is kind of annoying. We have a lot of fuel left in this thing, so we can hop around and try to find a more suitable place at some point. And I will probably do that before I bring any power modules or anything like that down to actually bring this base online. But now that we're down here on the surface, I'm looking around. It's like, this is not flat anywhere. That is kind of annoying, but it is what it is, I suppose. And so I think we are going to take off here and try to find a little bit of a flatter area. It's just not going to be totally flat, but I do want to find a space where there's enough room that I can probably bring down 4 or 5 modules for the base, and have a place for my shuttle to land relatively nearby too, because we are going to be ferrying crew back and forth, and we're going to need at some point to resupply the base and stuff like that too. So I'm going to have to give some thought to that, because I do have the life support on, which means they're going to consume food and all that, and I'm gonna have to figure that out. So it would be good to be able to land a shuttle close enough that I can run a pipe from the shuttle to the base and actually transfer supplies that way and stuff. So get a little closer to this crater anyway. It's kind of nicer looking over here. And I am just manually bringing this thing down. Like I said, these engines seem pretty overpowered. There's a lot of fuel actually on this thing. This is from Clever Bobcat Industries. I think it's a Home 2, maybe a Home 3 module. I don't remember. But I love all of his stuff. He's a good modeler. It seems like a lot of stuff kind of gets left behind and not updated. I used to really like his ant rovers, but I don't think those work right anymore either. I haven't checked to see if they've been updated, but a lot of his stuff just kind of doesn't get updated once it's released, which is too bad because it's really good. I suppose that won't be as much of a problem now that the game is actually fully released because they won't have quite so many changes happening anymore. So one of the neat things about this is that it has a special landing gear, and then this particular module is a habitat module. So it actually has these like inflatable tube thingies that come out that are pretty darn neat. They scare me a little bit because they feel like they're gonna break something, but they haven't really done anything terrible yet. So I suppose we'll see. I think there's greenhouse modules you can get for this thing too. So yeah, look at that thing. That's pretty cool. Just unfolds and away you go. I kind of wish I had made the top of this look a little more finished instead of just having the probe on the top there. I don't know. I can probably remove the MechJeb module, I think, in an EVA. I think you can do that in EVA, so I'll see about doing that when we get some Kerbals down. But for some reason that light flickers, so we have kind of some glitchiness there. But that is the beginning of our Mun base, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm just turning off that light because like, flickering is bothering me. Those are just marker lights, really, anyway. They don't do anything. The spotlights up there provide most of the illumination for the area around the base there. Now, I don't recall what this launch is either. It looks like it's manned. So, where are these guys headed, I wonder? Oh, I think this is actually a service... Yeah, I remember now. I'm sorry, I'm doing this as post-commentary, but this is a service mission. I have that asteroid survey telescope up in orbit, and with all those telescopes from Cacti, if you turn them towards the sun, it burns out the CPU on the... there's like a removable CPU. It burns it out, and unfortunately, this thing doesn't have any sort of... aperture to close or anything like that, and so you have to be really careful, and I wasn't, so I ended up burning out the computer on board. So we're up here servicing this thing, and I think it's actually an upgraded version of the computer anyway, so that will be good. I wish that this thing had an aperture that would close so that I wouldn't accidentally do that, but it is what it is. I'm turning this thing so that the little sun shield there is kind of protecting the lens area towards the front, even though it doesn't really matter, I don't think, right now, but I still wanted to do that. And I like this way that this mod works, because you do actually have to come up and do service missions, which is good, because it seems like a lot of this stuff you pretty much just put in orbit and forget, and it's nice to have to come up with parts and upgrade it. I think the gyroscopes wear out after time and stuff like that too, so for these space telescopes, it is kind of cool to get to do Hubble-esque stuff here and service them, although I don't have a space shuttle. I've kind of given up on the space shuttles because they just seem so finicky and unreliable. These command capsules are just so much easier to use. I don't really see that much reason to use space shuttles aside from the cool factor of it. And, you know, I did love space shuttles when I was a kid, of course. So I have a Kerbal attachment system container over here with the new part. If we can get over here and actually access this thing. And I love the Kerbal attachment system too. It's just so much fun. Gives you so much more to do in this game. And so I'm taking it kind of easy here because I don't want to go smacking into the side of the satellite here. It's not a very big satellite. It would be easy to bump it enough to probably mess it up. So I just want to take it nice and easy. You You see the computer core thing on his back there. Now, this thing has a service bay on it, I believe. Yeah, there it is. It's just not really a full-on service bay. It's kind of a tiny one, but go ahead and place this inside. I said place it inside. It's kind of finicky, I guess. There we go. So everything should be online again with this thing. Like I've said earlier, I think this is actually supposed to increase the rate that asteroids are discovered and all that. And you can get a tiny amount of science out of it. It's not really the point of it, though. So, mission accomplished. We got the new part installed. Like, that satellite is surprising. It's always kind of surprising when you launch something that was unmanned and then you see Kerbals next to it, because it usually seems like it's either really big or really small compared to what you thought it was. That thing is not that big. So at this point, I think, you know, these guys are just going to return home and stuff, but I think that's going to pretty much wrap up everything for this episode today. I am going to continue this series, even though it's horribly outdated now and everything, but I just don't want to break my game. I don't know what my ultimate goal is with this series. Obviously, it's to get warp drive, I guess, but I don't know, just going to play it by ear, see how it goes. As long as at least one person still watches, I will probably still post stuff. Even if nobody watches, I would still post it because I'm crazy, I guess. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Have a good one.